Thank you, Surya. Good afternoon and namaste, everyone. I'm Siddhartha Rayamajhi. So, in this 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to share about the key findings from the perception survey and brief highlights of Nepal's LDC graduation plan and development finance. So, as Surya presented the findings on overall provincial competitiveness based on the 64 indicators from the government data. So now the perception survey explores how these rankings are perceived at the ground level. So I think this survey is important mainly for three reasons. So the first is it identifies the discrepancies between the recorded government data and the real-time experience of business, which offers a more holistic and realistic view of provincial competitiveness. The second, the perception survey captures the real issue faced by the business across the NCA4 environments. And the third is the overall findings of the survey will help the policymakers to identify the gaps between the findings from government records and the current realities at the macro level. So moving on to the methodology, so the respondent were selected through a mix of sampling methods such as stratified, convenience, snowball, and purposive. So the total sample size of the respondents are 280 business executive representative from all 7 provinces, that is 40 business people from each province. So the targeted respondents were from the executive members of business federation at provincial and district levels. The survey took place in September 2024. So moving to the environment-wise findings, to begin with the macroeconomic stability. So we asked to the respondent, how satisfied are you with the economic growth rate of the province? So the results are classified here as per the age group. At the national levels, across all the age groups, dissatisfaction is higher than the satisfaction level. So at the provincial level, so interestingly, Gandaki stands out prominently and impressive overall satisfaction rate of the 80%, which considerably surpassed the national average of 43%. So in Gandaki, both the youngest, which is under 30, and oldest above 60 years demographics report complete satisfaction. So this also indicates an exceptionally positive economic outlook for the age group. So moving on to the satisfaction level of the FDI. So nationally, dissatisfaction dominates perception of FDI with 87% dissatisfied compared to only 10% satisfied. So this reflects the significant barriers to FDI at the provincial level. So in contrast, local investment perceptions are more balanced with 50% satisfaction exceeding 45% dissatisfaction. So if we see the satisfaction level with local investment in the province, so Gandaki stands out the most attractive for local investment with 85% satisfaction exceeding the national average. So, however, dissatisfaction is prominent in Karnali with 73%, Madhe 60% and Lumbini 58%. For the FDI, the provinces like Karnali, Madhes, Lumbini and Sudar Pasim faces high dissatisfaction level above 93%, so which reflects the widespread concerns and major obstacles in attracting FDI across the provinces. So building upon these results, this highlights the urgency to reduce the provincial economic gaps by prioritizing more support on agriculture and financial services in underperforming provinces like Madhes and Karnali, alongside simplifying the trade and customs regulations to facilitate smoother trade operations. So moving to the next environment, that is government and institutional setting. So entrepreneurs' dissatisfaction regarding transparency in budget formulation is a systematic issue that extends beyond the geographical boundaries. The overall satisfaction score on transparency relating to budget formulation stand at mere at 8%, which reflects entrepreneurs' lack of trust in governance issue. So province-wise, dissatisfaction regarding transparency in budget formulation is the highest among entrepreneurs from Madhes and Lumbini. So moving to the next slide, which is business ease of registration business. So there was a mixed response among the entrepreneurs regarding the ease of registering a business. So entrepreneurs reacted to a ease of registration business in their respective provinces, with 52% noting the process to be challenging, while 46% stated the process to be easy. So the results reflect disparity in administrative efficiency across provinces, provincial policies, and access to resources and information. So moving to the next environment, that is financial business and manpower condition accounts the perception on the availability of financing sources. So if you see at the provincial level, Madhes, Karnali and Lumbini faces the most challenges, with over 85% of respondents in each province rate facing access as poor. So these results exceeds the national average score. Likewise, Sudur Paschim follows a similar trend, accounting 82.5%, indicating poor availability. So this result also highlights the need for the targeted financial interventions such as expanding credit access and strengthening local financial institutions. So moving on to the next slide, which is a perception on the investment in the workforce. So the perception of investment in the workforce, this compromises the national average, which stands at 25.71% dissatisfaction. So most provinces show lower dissatisfaction rate. Gandhige and Bagmati in particular perform better than the national dissatisfaction average, indicating that their workforce investment is more positively perceived. However, provinces like Karnali and Lumbini report dissatisfaction level higher than the national average. So moving to the last involvement, that is quality of life and infrastructure development. So we took the perception on the availability of health services by provinces. So at the provincial level, perception on health services is negative, particularly in Madhes, where 92.5% of the respondents have expressed dissatisfaction with the availability of health services. This is in line with the result of our quantitative analysis, where we looked at the indicators such as provincial health spending and per capita public health expenditure. So on the other hand, Gandaki stands out prominently with 82.5% of the respondent satisfied with the healthcare services, suggesting that higher levels of spending on health have led to greater availability of services and higher penetration at the individual level. So moving on to the next slide, that is the perception on the educational opportunities. So the overall satisfaction levels across the provinces regarding the accessibility of educational opportunities are low. So with at least 40% of the respondents expressing dissatisfaction across all provinces. So Madhes account 97.4%, Karnali 95% respondent express dissatisfaction. In Kosi and Sudur Paschim, 77.5% and 75% respectively are dissatisfied with the lack of educational opportunities. This is in line with the Madhes, Karnali, Kosi and Sudur Paschim relatively lower expenditure on science, technology and environment. So now I would like to move to the next part of my presentation, that is Nepal's LDC graduation plans and ODA flow. So given the evolving political landscape, major partners, changing development priorities, and most notably Nepal's graduation from LDC category will undoubtedly affect the future aid flow to Nepal. So Nepal graduation from the LDC category in 2026 will limit the country access to external financial sources of development and finance target for the LDCs, such as global concessional finance and institutional support programs. If we see the top 10 sectors that have received the highest ODA in fiscal year 2021 and 2022 at the federal and provincial level, which includes health, education, financial services, reconstruction, energy, economic reform, road transportation, drinking water, local development, and agriculture. So with this context, the strategic utilization of ODA is crucial for addressing provincial disparities across the sectors to make more competitiveness. So moving to the next slide. So this figure shows the share of provincial ODA for the last 7 years. The available data explains the uneven distribution of aid across, with the Bagmati receiving the highest share and the Madhes, Lumbini and Karnali receiving a lesser share of aid disbursement during this period. For example, if in fiscal year 2021-2022, Kosi and Madhes received less than $42 million, while Bagmati received more than $200 million in ODA respectively across the top sector which I mentioned before. So as these 8 prioritized sectors at the central and provincial governments represent some key sectors closely related to the respective province competitiveness aspect, and alteration in this future aid flows to these sectors at the provincial level will affect 7 provinces overall competitiveness moving forward. So moving forward, now I will discuss a brief how ODA is related to each of NCI's 4 involvement, how any challenges in aid allocation across involvements and the corresponding sectors and involvements are likely to affect overall aid effectiveness, and how provincial government can make the best use of received ODA till 2026 and beyond to boost their overall competitiveness. To begin with, first involvement, macroeconomic stability. So the Gandaki province benefited from an increase in ODA with support in with high literacy rates and low unemployment. Despite its cultural significance and potential in tourism, Lumbini province saw a decrease in ODA, highlighting the necessity for enhanced health and education infrastructure. Similarly, in Karnali and Sudur Pasim, it saw a lower flow of ODA. So therefore, they need targeted funds to improve their poor infrastructure, road networks, literacy rates. Properly channeling ODA to these provinces' specific need is essential for fostering sustainable economic growth and ensuring successful graduation from the LDC status. So the next involvement, government and institutional settings. So there is a low government expenditure in Kosi and Bagmati and Lumbini. So these provinces should allocate limited funds to public services due to underfunding or policy preference for the private sector driven growth. So this can harm long-term competitiveness and exacerbate inequalities. So therefore, ODA can co-finance targeted public investment through conditional grants and incentivizing spending on social development and skill enhancement programs. So in financial, business and manpower condition, there is a need for financial and workforce investment. So actually investing in financial, infrastructure and workforce development is essential to address financial and labor market challenges. And similarly, expanding like the banking sector in Madhes and Sudur Pasim through ODA can enhance access to credit and saving promotions, which can promote economic participation and growth. So lastly, to the quality of life and infrastructure development environment. So most of the ODA to province have been directed towards improving quality of life and infrastructure. So in future, development assistance needs to be more targeted, building upon the progress made in the past decades. So another key area that the province could particularly benefit from the ODA is the digital transformation and literacy and transformation. So leveraging the power of development assistance to de-risk private sector investment in the sector could accelerate progress towards digital transformation across all the provinces. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much.